Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to dive right into a really powerful analysis today. It's all about this one question. What happens when a superpower goes to war, but doesn't actually finish it? We're going to let the source material walk us through this. All right, so let's just jump right in with this quote. Honestly, this one sentence, it's the key to this whole thing. The argument here is that for a country, let's say Iran, just surviving a fight with the US isn't a tie. No way. It gets seen by the whole world as a victory. And believe me, that perception, it sets off a whole chain of massive consequences. So the source material starts by basically telling us to second guess what we see. It says that when we think we're seeing moves toward peace, de-escalation, it might actually be something completely different. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. What it looks like is diplomacy, right? An off-ramp. But what the source says it is, that's just battlefield politics. It's a pause, a way to buy time. It's not about peace at all. And that difference is huge because it points to this much bigger problem. An unfinished fight is way, way more damaging than you might think. Okay, so who feels the pain of this indecisiveness first? Well, the analysis points a finger right at America's allies in the Persian Gulf. I mean, it makes sense. They're right there on the front line. So they're the ones who are going to feel the impact first and hardest. And the source material really breaks down how this trust just completely falls apart. You see, for years, the deal was simple. Gulf states pay for U.S. security. They bought the weapons, they hosted the bases, they kept their side of the bargain. But then if a conflict kicks off and Iran can still hit their oil fields or mess with their shipping, well, that promise of protection suddenly looks pretty hollow, doesn't it? The whole deal, the whole bargain, is shown to be totally unreliable. And this is the really critical takeaway here. This failure, it forces them to rethink everything. I mean, if America can punish an enemy, but can't actually protect you and can't finish the job, why would you put all your eggs in that basket? It's not even about being angry or feeling betrayed. It's just cold, hard strategy. It's time to start looking for other options. And here's the thing. This feeling of, hey, maybe the US isn't so reliable, it doesn't just stay in the Middle East. No. The source argues it's like a ripple in a pond. Those doubts spread out and start to affect the entire network of Western allies. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. The source points to stuff that's happening right now. You've got Canada looking to reset its relationship with China to give itself more breathing room. You've got the EU hustling to make trade deals with countries all over the world. These are slow, deliberate moves to become less dependent on the US. An unfinished war? That would be like pouring gasoline on a fire that's already burning. So it's not just the allies who are paying attention. If America looks weak or indecisive, you better believe its rivals see that as an opportunity. The source is clear. Countries like Russia and China would see it as a green light, an open invitation. And yeah, you can bet they'd be watching very closely. And what's so fascinating here is how Russia and China would cash in, but in different ways that actually help each other out. For Russia, it's a chance to push its luck, maybe in Ukraine, while the US is looking weak. But for China, it's an even bigger win. It plays right into their main story, that America can break things, sure, but you can't build a stable, lasting order afterwards. Then there's the fallout for another critical ally, Israel. And this is so important. An Iran that goes toe-to-toe with the US and survives doesn't just go back to business as usual. Not at all. It comes out feeling justified, more bitter, and probably bent on revenge. The threat doesn't go away. It gets worse. It grows into something much more dangerous. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The analysis now looks at two consequences that are maybe less obvious, but incredibly powerful. We're talking about the global financial system, which is built on the US dollar, and the politics happening right inside DC. So first, let's just set the stage. The US dollar is without a doubt still king. I mean, look at this. It makes up well over half of all global reserves. Its dominance is just a fact. But and this is the key point from the source, nobody's talking about the dollar collapsing overnight. It's more like a slow erosion, a death by 1,000 cuts. When other countries see the US as unpredictable, it gives them a really good reason to start building their own systems, like China's digital currency. It's not about hating America, it's about protecting themselves. It's just good insurance. And this leads to a really strange paradox back in Washington. Think about this. Even people who were dead set against a war in the first place might get trapped. They might look at the situation and realize that stopping halfway and letting allies get spooked and rivals get bold is actually more damaging than seeing the war through to the end. It becomes a choice between bad and worse, And suddenly, finishing the fight looks like the least terrible option. So, where does all this lead? This is the big finale, the main point of the whole analysis. You take all these different pieces, the nervous allies, the opportunistic rivals, the financial escape hatches, and you weave them all together. And what you get is one big, powerful idea. And that idea is hegemonic decline. But the source is really specific about what this means. It's not some dramatic collapse like you see in the movies about ancient Rome. No, it's a slow grind. It's an erosion of belief. It happens every time a superpower proves it can still hit really, really hard. But it can't actually decide how the story ends. The power is there. It's massive, but it's just not decisive anymore. So we're left with this really stark, pretty uncomfortable question from the source material. In this global game of chess, showing you can't finish what you start might just be the worst move you can make. It seems to argue that, in the end, how a war ends is way more important than how it even began. So, what do you think?